had a number of people come up to me and tell me, your third year of teaching is when you really hit your stride. And it's my third year of teaching, and in a lot of ways it's true. My lesson plans are more dynamic, and classroom management isn't as big of a deal, and I don't have 11-hour days of lesson planning and grading, and it's nicer and it's better. But being responsible for 147 15-year-olds is as draining as you might imagine it would be. And sometimes I get really sick of saying things like, Mikey, get off the table and sit down. Johnny, you cannot come in every single day, having been gone from class for 45 minutes, and loudly announce to all of us that you've been pooping. And Alexis, you are going to live without Snapchat for 90 minutes. I promise you. And Johnny, if you don't stop bottle flipping, I am going to lose my mind. And some days I want to quit. Some days I want to open a cafe in Boston and pastries all day. But yeah, I went to high school here, and I think of the moments that I remember from my high school. Just down the hall, I was in Mr. Bowman's classroom, and I remember he challenged me to do things academically that I did not think I was capable of doing, and it empowered me. And in Mr. Clark's room upstairs, I remember one day in his English class, he leaned in really close, and it was like he had a secret, and he said, "You're a really good writer." and not only do I remember that to this day, but in a lot of ways, those moments have shaped my decisions and my life, because those teachers are the reason that I'm a teacher today. And I want to have those moments with teenagers. I want to empower them, and I want to encourage them, because high school is hard. And so I think about, a couple weeks ago, I had one of those moments in my classroom. It was Speeches Day. So I walk in, and I assign them to write a speech, to stand up in front of a group of your peers and identify something that's important to you and support it with something personal, some personal experience, something from your life. And they step up, and they do, and it's amazing, and it builds respect within the group, and they have a chance to voice things that they don't usually voice, and it's great to stand up and be vulnerable in front of their peers. And so I stand up and I give a speech. I give them a glimpse into my personal life, and I end with something that's important to me, and then I look at them and I say, "Who's next?" And Jack raises his hand. He wants to go first, and of course it's Jack, because Jack's the best. He's a champ. He's so excited to be there every day. He said the pledge so loud, "I pledge allegiance to the flag!" That loud every day. One day he was absent and it was silent. It was so weird. And so he goes first, and he's got his paper, and it's like lined paper, his handwritten speech, and it's shaking. It's shaking in his hands. And he looks at me before he starts, and I can tell that he's been crying. And he says, I'm Jack, and some of you know me since kindergarten, and some of you have just seen me in the halls consistently. But what you might not know about me is that I have one of the mildest cases of cerebral palsy. And then he looks at me and says, "I can't do this." He walks to his desk, sits, and puts his head down and starts crying. And it was gonna be such a good moment. And he's crying because he tried to be vulnerable in front of a group of his peers, and he couldn't, and it was painful. And all I wanted was to make that moment go away, and to to ignore it, and just pretend like it didn't happen, and to make this moment less uncomfortable. And I choke. I completely choke. In an effort to make the moment, in some ways, less embarrassing for me, less uncomfortable for me, and completely disregarding how this student is going to look at this moment 10 years from now. And I just say, "Okay, who's next?" And it was awful. It was really bad. But then, I don't know if it was the awkward silence or a sense of motivation, but I know that I can't do nothing. but that's not really an option. I signed up to teach these kids English per the New Hampshire state standards, but I also signed up to encourage and empower them in any way that I can. And so I risk further embarrassment for Jack and further embarrassment for me. And I said, "You want to try again?" And he wipes the snot and the tears from his face. And he does one of these, and he picks it up and he talks about perseverance, and he talks about how uncomfortable the leg braces were on his ankles. And he says, "But now I play high school sports, and I overcame a challenge that I never thought I could. And if I can do it, you can do it." And of course he yells like that because he's such a champ. And then the bell rings, and I teach fourth period. And now I have one more moment where I got to encourage and empower a student despite my own failures. And I have one more moment to help me get through the stupid things like bottle flipping.